Okay, all right, we are live. Good morning, everyone. We are reconvening the Senate Transportation Committee. We're just going through the final versions of the transportation bill, continue our discussion. So go right ahead, Anthea, you want to revisit an area?
Yep, so we are gonna start back at section 2, and I emailed this to everyone and Jeannie has it, so if it is not posted now, it will be posted shortly.
Posting it now.
Thank you, Jeannie. Okay, so the first change you're gonna see is in subdivision 6 of section 2 on page 7. So it would say transformation of the state vehicle fleet. The Department of Buildings and General Services, which manages the state vehicle fleet, currently has 18 plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. I didn't use the acronym since we're not defining it in the first section, and 11 battery electric vehicles in the state vehicle fleet. In fiscal year 2023, the commissioner, I changed that from department since statute requires the commissioner to do this. The Commissioner of Buildings and General Services will continue to purchase and lease vehicles for state use in accordance with 29 VSA section 903G, which requires to the maximum extent practicable, that's what the statute says, that the commissioner purchase or lease hybrid or plug-in electric vehicles as defined in 23 VSA section 485, with not less than 75% of the vehicles purchased or leased be hybrid or plug-in electric vehicles. That's tracking statute. Okay. And then the second change I made to section 2 is in the language that you had earlier. Item 12 was about the dissemination of pedestrian safety information. Since you're deleting section 26, I deleted what was subdivision 12 from that summary section and just shifted what was 13 to 12. Okay, your next change is going to be the section heading for section 18. This was the carbon reduction program when I said I wanted to change it because it wasn't just fiscal year 24, it's now future fiscal years. So it says future transportation programs as the reader assistance heading before sections 18 and 19. Next change from this morning is section 26 has been deleted. And now everything is shifting one section number, but I'll use the old section numbers if you're working off of the hard copy. I'll say both sections as we go through. So that deleted the requirement that the agency disseminate that safety outreach information. And then the last change from this morning is in what was section 41, but is now section 40. And that is the change for smuggler's notch. It would say the employer of the operator of a vehicle who violates this subsection shall be subject to a civil penalty of, and you're waiting to hear back as to whether the civil penalty should change, but this switches from the either or, and it that is in current law, and it also deviates from what the House had at the agency's request of both. So it would just be the employer of the operator.
Senator Mazza, I do have background on the fine levels that we proposed, and there was not a review of other motor vehicle fines. It was simply set to a level that we felt would be impactful to create behavior change, and the variable message signs that we have on the interstate and leading up to the notch area have, maybe not in every case, but for long durations and frequently indicated what the fine would be. So the driver would perhaps have a chance to think about taking a different route versus going through the notch and risking getting the fine. So that's where we.
The signage we have, are they the flashing ones like we have on interstate speeding and all that? Okay, so that they're noticeable. So
They're noticeable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does that satisfy Senator Kitchell? So.
But it doesn't change the fines?
No.
It leaves them like they are?
Yes.
So if you,
As in the House passed.
so what is up on the screen is the House passed, and what the House passed was at the recommendation of the agency to increase what is currently the $1,000 for, if it's the first violation, 15, and currently 2,000 if it, obstructs. They're changing that to 1,500 and 3,000, and then it doubles
If we
for a
want to
second
agree with
substitute.
the AOT, we go back to 1,000 and 50.
No,
No, if you want to
agrees with this
review,
one.
you can go with the House. The House agreed with the
I
agency.
guess I have a hard time saying we want to change behavior because we could use that rationale for every fine in the world. Because fines are designed to change behavior. That's why to say, you know, this, we want to have something of this level without seeing, is it comparable to other fines that are designed to change behavior? I just think, I think that ends up in a very ad hoc, disparate treatment. And you've said the same thing, you know, is it an issue of fines or is it something else? And I just think this is a very significant increase
Well, why don't
in
we
a
just go
fine.
back, let's say 2,500 even, if we want to do the, split the difference with them, just go, leave it at 1,000 and 2,500, I don't know.
So Senator Kitchell, one thing I will say in terms of, I have not done a thorough review of what the civil penalties are. I will say that the default for when a civil penalty is not specified in statute is $1,000. So this current civil penalty is in line with the default if nothing is specified. There are a lot of them that are specified, and a lot of them are specified at much lower than $1,000. What could be interesting, if this is something you want to look into, and I know you have so much free time right now, is the waiver penalty chart that the Judicial Bureau puts out. I could certainly go through and try and highlight the ones that are over that $1,000 threshold, if that would be helpful either for the conference committee or.
Is that on a
future.
flashing sign too, the fines? Is that on a flashing
You
sign?
know, we could keep the existing ones. The House has gone with the higher. That would allow the time to look at Judicial Bureau fines. And then
We could either.
you can either agree or you can say to the House, and AOT proposed it, but what they have is when you look at the other fines seems to be out of kilter, and so they should agree with us. I guess it keeps it open. It allows you a little chance in your spare time to look at.
I have more spare time than you do right now.
Well, everybody's writing these saying, please support the funding that's here or there. The committee didn't recommend it, so we still want our 6 million. So I'm only getting a few emails.
So it sounds like what I'm gonna do is I'm going to unstrike out the 1,000, delete that 1,500, and then unstrike out this $2,000 approach. It will be something that will be a point of disagreement between the House and the Senate. If you end up in a conference committee, it can be something that you discuss then.
And we'll have the benefit of this further review.
Okay, so then my question is, for purposes of what was section 50, but is now section 49, for your covered bridges penalties, do you also want those to be lower? Because if you make the change from the House version to stay at current levels for smuggler's notch, you would then be adding civil penalties that are higher for covered bridges than for smuggler's notch. I could track the smugs ones for this as a starting point.
Go ahead.
The only, I'm gonna, whatever Senator Kitchell wants on this, and I'm not being fine, whatever. The only reason why I would even say anything different about having a higher fine is because it's been the two most high profile cases of what we've spent this session on, as far as where we've targeted, well, we need to do something to change behavior, which I don't like that word neither, at all. So that's, but I'm gonna be indifferent. Wherever it ends up, it ends up.
I just wanted to have it, I know historically we've been really concerned about parity among fines.
Yep.
And if you do it ad hoc, you end up with, how come this is twice as much as
Right.
something that seems to be more serious? And that's all I want to make sure that we're not doing here.
And I think because we have made it more serious, we have rooms to do those fines, but again, I don't want to, I'm not arguing anything about that. I just putting my 2 cents in worth about why I could see where it goes to go up higher, but if you feel better about it not being, I'm fine with that.
I'm willing to move it up higher. I want to have, if in fact it is comparable with other fines, it might be even more serious infractions. That's my, that's all I want to do is make sure that we're maintaining some rationality. Because when you start pulling one out without looking at all of them, you can end up with some real anomalies.
I know the angst that it causes, like when that bridge gets hit in Linden, it's an uproar. It really is an uproar to the community.
Yeah, I know.
And
They could collect the damages and there is a fine. The uproar is
Makes
how,
the bridge stronger when they rebuild it.
well, you sort of say, how can people be that? Although I remember one time when 2 vehicles tried to go through it at one time and that really didn't work well. I would want, you're saying, should we keep these fines the same as for the notch?
I think what you could do is you could change this 1,500 to 2,000 and instead make them, I think it would be 1,000 and 1,500 to preserve what is
Subject,
currently
and then
in.
subject to review and then change if we find that it doesn't create tremendous disjuncture with all the other.
Sounds like a plan. Let's try
Okay,
it.
so I will change these to maintain the current smuggler's notch. Okay, and that's it from this morning. And then we're almost done. We left off at what was section 54, or 55, which is now 54. This is the use of sustainable building components. It's all highlighted because you haven't looked at it yet, but this is identical to what was worked on in this committee and with Casella and the agency back in February, I think.
I guess 30.
This is the one glass.
You have is now off by 1.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
So this is really recycled glass.
And so you've got your findings, and then what would be done in terms of statutory changes is section 55 repeal 19 VSA section 10 CM, which is the current recycled asphalt pavement language.
Yeah, that's Janet Peasley's favorite.
It keeps it, it just moves it, and you would have your
Back memories.
your very own new section, statement of policy, sustainable building components, annual report. It would have a policy statement, the specifications, the language specific to recycled asphalt pavement, and then requiring, or encouraging the agency to continue researching and testing.
What is a pozzolan?
The pozzolan? Oh, I can do my 30-second
Somebody,
spiel of concrete mix
Whoever
design.
recorded that section and somebody got up and interrogated you, what is it?
Find out on Thursday.
Well, Ledge Council will be in the room and our Ledge Council has
I have other sources.
other sources.
My husband's a structural engineer and I gave that 30-second pitch about concrete mix design. So concrete mix design is gonna be pozzolans, your Portland.
Pozzolans.
Pozzolans can be a partial substitute for Portland cement. It's like the part that binds it all together. And then you've got your aggregate, that's gonna be gravel and rock and sand. And then you've got your water. And I think I got to use the phrase hydraulic mortar when I.
You are an amazing woman.
Yes, I know, yes, you figured that out.
It's actually really fun to learn about this stuff. I really enjoyed working on
I like this as an aggregate substitute for virgin or manufactured sand.
Without those, it looked pretty bad.
We also learned a lot of stuff about this. And then this has an oral report, not a written report, coming back to the House and Senate Committees on Transportation.
Actually, it's a pozzolan. I still don't remember what you said it was.
Oh,
A replacement for something in cement.
it's the
Replacement of
hydraulic
cement.
mortar. It can be a replacement for Portland cement.
I see.
Portland cement is pretty popular.
Why do we call it Portland cement when it was invented by the Romans?
I actually think that would be more like the poslins, like fly ash, and less like the current makeup.
guy who thought it was-
But we are now getting outside of my 30
I thought it
seconds.
was a brand.
Yeah.
They're clean.
We call it that because it is derived from its similarity to Portland stone, a type of building stone quarried on the Isle of Portland in Dorset, England.
Yours to where?
Dorset, England.
England, okay. Wow.
According to Wikipedia, anyway.
You were gonna say.
It must be a huge company, because it's all you hear is Portland cement.
But the Romans invented it.
It's not the company, it's
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Portland.
Oh.
Let's go to field trip.
Yeah, that's good.
You've been around Senator Benning too much.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, tell me about it.
They just go to Barry, transportation will go to England.
Oh, I thought we were going on that train.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Still gotta figure that out.
Yeah.
All right.
So you're good with your
Yeah.
sustainable
I think-
building?
I don't hear
Oh, I think we're ahead of our times. Well, actually, the whole issue around recycling and purposes is important. And particularly with glass, which there seems to be a surplus at this point, so. All right. Wow.
Okay, next.
Okay, so what was section 58, now section 57, this is pushing out the repeal of the language that allows the state to assess a fee for the use of charging stations 3 years to 2025. And then what the House had as a required report written every year back to, I think it was 6 committees, the 2 transportation committees, the energy committees, and the fee committees, institutions, and the revenue committees. This instead would be, and I worked on this language with Senator Perchlik, the Agency of Transportation and the Department of Buildings and General Services need to make staff available to standing committees, just in general, of the General Assembly, beginning on January 15th each year, to give an oral presentation that provides an update on the state's efforts to collect fees for the use of EVSE that is owned or controlled by the state, and shall make available as part of that presentation a copy of any applicable fee schedules, along with an explanation about whether it's recouping costs, including electricity costs. I think that if this
becomes obsolete.
I think if you shift in the direction of the administration is not really in the business of managing charging stations, then subsection B can go away.
That's fine.
Okay. Section 59, this is the
Extension.
pushing out the 10 years that the town of St. Albans and the Agency of Transportation can do that relinquishment. That is interesting. There's that extra line on page 69, line 10 will get deleted. I think that's just a weird page break. Okay, then we get to our codified law technical corrections. Section 60, what was 61, will repeal the fine that is applicable for a violation that was since repealed. And I think it had to do with like picnicking where you weren't supposed to picnic. So getting rid of the fine, even though the violation is gone, one of those instances where something was repealed in one place but not everywhere. Section 61, this is the beginning portion of that JTOC appropriation. It is not changing it. It is not doing anything with your minimums for the vehicles. All it is doing is getting rid of fiscal year 2017, some obsolete language. Section 62, this is getting rid of a report that was due in January of 2011 to a committee that no longer exists.
I think we missed it.
I think we're still waiting, aren't we?
Yeah, we don't want to read that. I can't sleep, mate.
And then you have your effective dates. So for purposes of things that take effect on passage, it's going to be the 2 sunset extensions. For things that take effect back 1 year, it's going to be the small changes that you made to the prior T-bill, and then everything else will take effect on July 1, 2022 to align with the fiscal year. And that's your T-bill.
So,
Well, yes, Michelle.
I have one other minor change. I believe in listening to your discussions yesterday about the mobility and transportation innovations grants. That's where you're doing your microtransit and you added the additional $1 million. The administration had proposed $500,000 for that program. And that program encompasses more than microtransit. So we do all of our transportation demand management with employers, where we set up organizations like transportation management associations to help employers get fewer people to drive to work by offering benefits. We have some electric vehicle charging projects with CarShare Vermont in terms of their activities. And so there's a variety of things we've been innovating on besides microtransit. So the agency doesn't want to lose the ability to continue those efforts forward that are viable and to come up with new ones. And so we'd like to suggest that up to $250,000 of the 1.5 million could be directed towards non-microtransit type projects.
That's fine. We didn't intend to.
No, and when we started it, we allowed the other, because remember, Senator Ash talked a lot about the vans, the TMD program.
TDM,
Demand management, TDM.
transportation available.
Well, I think we got a good bill. I think
So all we're gonna do is that one change.
There'll be the 250 change, and then the other change that I didn't make that I need to make is in section 2, subdivision 9, that in the summary section, I need to update the carbon reduction program language because that was based on the House version. And then I will change for the microtransit language just to include the fact that the 250 for DDM. And I think I think I can make those changes and come back in 15 minutes, and maybe it can be an edited version.
And then we vote it and then.
Who's the clerk?
Right here.
I have instructions from Jeannie.
Okay, I'm gonna go make those
You
changes.
have to just get.
I'll be back.
Oh,
She had more explicit instructions.
Are we prepared to
move it favor.
move it here?
Yep, it's a
Okay.
strike call, so
Who makes the motion?
I will.
Rachel makes the motion and we
But-
support.
Do we have our sheet yet?
Our clerk is getting ready.
Yeah, no, I just
Our
want to.
clerk's getting ready to clerk.
Jeannie, I have voting procedures, but I don't have that sheet that I would usually.
If the procedures should point this out, I will record the vote and I will send it to you to review and give me your okay.
But you can call the roll with the chair last.
The chair.
The motion is to do it as we will see it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
And
the
so
final
it'll-
draft, that's
So it'll be draft 1.3, I believe.
Yeah.
Because this is
You
one.
plan on taking it up this week in your committee or no?
Yeah, because all of this is embedded.
No, I know, is that what your thoughts are? You'll have these folks in some afternoon or something, or Michelle?
I may just present it myself.
Or you can do that, yeah, it'd be great if you could, it always works better.
I've already briefed them on the
Committee trust.
presentation.
No, the committee trusts you very well, we like that, because I'm trying to push Joe to get the bill out across the hall.
Oh, he said he
He was
needs
still,
those.
he was still taking people coming.
Yeah, we had to,
That stuff was not, anyway,
All you need to do is move that ARPA capital the way I
I
said.
know,
I know, we know.
But the reason why
And I will write the language about creating the fund,
Yeah.
because then I can
Yeah.
duke it out.
that's what you guys said yesterday.
So.
okay, let's go with we have a motion by Senator Kitchell.
Going in alphabetical order with
Seconded, okay,
with the chair last, Chittenden, I vote aye. Ingalls,
Aye.
Mitchell.
Aye.
Birchlick,
Yes.
and
And
I,
Matheson.
yes, for me, so it's unanimous vote, and we'll finally get the final version. Now, how it works is, for the folks, when it's all said and done, it'll be broke down in language that you report, very simple language, you're not gonna go through the details like this, it'll all be done for us, and we, as you know, we'll go through that. And then,
I get up and wing it. I
I'll
don't get this.
have the introductory of the whole bill.
Yeah,
and
you will, you'll do the
I'll have
introductory and then you'll pass it down.
We'll meet and sign.
I don't care as far as for anybody here.
And I don't need
I
to
don't care.
report any sections and.
No,
We can, and I don't care what I was gonna say to these guys, I don't care what section I get, I'm comfortable with all of it.
We'll give you all the vessel sections again.
I'll give you the vessels. I don't know who to give the buses to.
Nobody really cares about it.
If we can find somebody to give the buses to,
Yeah.
We still need to shed a tear, so.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's up to you.
So, yeah, it looks good, and we'll have Michelle write up all that stuff, and they get it all ready for us. We'll meet next week to go over it, and before it comes to the floor, because her bill won't come to the floor until when you plan on
I'm
next
voting
week.
it out Friday.
This Friday? Son of a gun, you're moving.
Do we have to report our sections?
So then, Santa
The
Maza,
longer I wait, I have no, you know.
Do we have to report our bill before yours goes to the floor?
No.
Not necessarily, okay, doesn't happen.
But
All
you-
right.
you're
so
gonna-
we need to get, then we need to get across the hall, then we gotta be having that out by.
Well, I've told him that, I've told.
I know, but then you heard what he said.
Here's what he said, James, not gonna make Christ.
Right.
That's what he said. Joe said, you're not gonna make the deadline.
I've got a good authority that she's not gonna make Friday.
Well, they didn't get it for me because my
we
committee
will-
prepares the vote.
We'll take care of that today.
And the only thing that we would do.
Jeannie, you can take us off of live, I think. Please.